The judiciary, they say, is the last hope of the common man. Well, if justice is supposedly bought or there are issues with it and the ordinary man is unable to get it in Nigeria, what then happens? What then also happens when judges themselves become violators of the law? A country where the gavel is meant to uphold truth, it seems Nigeria's judicial system faces yet another credibility test. And the latest suspensions from the National Judicial Council raises one pressing question: can justice ever be trusted in the country? Well, this and more will get us talking on the show this evening as I bid you welcome to another edition of the Newsroom. The Newsroom is, of course, a current affairs program where we take a critical look at some of the big stories that have made the rounds in the course of the last 7 days, right here on Nigeria Info. It is packaged and brought to you by Nigeria Info's Newsroom. My name is Ufuoma Egbamuno. Welcome to another edition of the show. We're streaming this show live for you on YouTube and on Facebook. YouTube is Nigeria Info FM, Facebook Nigeria Info 993. Before we get into the conversation today, which is going to be on justice and, of course, the issues in Nigeria's judicial system, and we've got a senior advocate of Nigeria as our guest on the show today. Before we get into those conversations, let's run through some of the big stories that made the rounds over the last 7 days. The court right here in Lagos sentenced BRT driver to death for the murder of Bamishi, which happened about 2-3 years ago. We also saw the EFCC spokesperson was on Nigeria Info last week and, of course, blamed the continuous victimization of Nigerians by fraudulent investment schemes on greed and ignorance. We also saw the federal government ordering urgent action on 5 Lagos bridges after discovering dangerously low headroom, some of them as low as 5.4 meters. Also in the news, in the course of the last 7 days, the governor of Lagos State, His Excellency Babajide Sanwo-Olu, urged young residents to apply for the Nigerian Army's ongoing recruitment. We also saw the president celebrate with Nigerian workers on Workers' Day. Last week, Thursday, was a celebration across the country, and of course Nigerian workers made quite a number of demands right here in Lagos. It was a question of the Nigeria Labour Congress demanding that the approved minimum wage be reflect across all sectors of the state. It does look like, according to the NLC, it's not been something that has happened across all the sectors of the state. Some have started getting it, but of course, they did make that plea to the governor, something he also said he was going to look at. We also got news last week that the FBI and the DEA sought for a 90-day extension for them to release records linking President Bola Tinubu to, of course, a narcotics case that took place in the 90s. We saw a president of the National Association of Nigerian Students, even though some have come out to say that he is not the authentic president. Honestly, the politics of that story, we honestly don't know what it is. But the man says, claims rather, that the son of Nigeria's president, Sheyi Tinubu, offered him a 100 million naira bribe and also kidnapped him and tortured him. Of course, Seyi Tinubu did come out to deny those allegations. And finally, the Federal Minister of Finance, Finance Minister Wale Edu, says that the federal government is finalizing a 1.5 trillion naira road concession deal with private investors. Hopefully, that will take some of these roads to better heights. Okay, let's get into the thick of the action today, because we are going to be talking about the suspension of the National Judicial Council of 3 judges for 1 year without pay. The judges affected are Justice Jane Inyang of the Uyo Division of the Court of Appeal, Justice Inyang Ekwo of the Federal High Court in Abuja, and Justice Aminu Bafa Aliu of the Zamfara Division of the Federal High Court. This we got from a statement put out by the Deputy Director of Information of the NJC, Kemi Ogedengbe Babalola. Well, let's give you a bit of what happened. As of course, Justice Jane Inyang was found guilty of issuing inappropriate ex parte orders authorizing the sale of commercial properties belonging to a former owner of a filling station, rather than preserve the status quo of pending full hearing. The judge ordered the sale of assets, Honorable Udeme Assets properties, at the interlocutory stage, a move the NJC says breaches a rule. Now, that's for Jane, Justice Jane. For Justice Inyang Ekwo, I'm sure that name is quite familiar if you have been following reports from the Federal High Court in Abuja. His own misconduct is that he delivered a ruling in a criminal matter without this. But see, when I saw this story last week, I couldn't help but laugh. As unfunny as it was, but I couldn't help but laugh. The man delivered a judgment without bothering to hear from the 2 parties involved in that case. He delivered a judgment and did not bother to listen to the parties involved. That's how crazy, his own was. And for Justice Aminu Bafa, he was sanctioned for granting an order restraining security agency from carrying out their statutory duties. The judge failed to uphold the doctrine of stare decisis and effectively blocked law enforcement from executing their mandate. At this point in time, joining us is a senior advocate of Nigeria, a regular on Nigeria Info, and of course, he is a seasoned legal practitioner, like I said. Dr. Mondo Bani, a very good evening to you and welcome to the newsroom.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. Good evening.
Good evening to you. First things first, I did say in my intro that I chuckled and I laughed when I saw the story about one of the judges suspended, the fact that he didn't even bother to listen to the 2 parties who came to court, and he just gave a judgment. It seemed funny, but it's actually not funny. What do you make? How did you feel, first of all, when you saw the statement from the NJC suspending these 3 judges?
Well, the point is that over time, the Nigerian populace, have started to complain about the judiciary, and then the judiciary that's supposed to be the last hope of the common man. The populace were beginning to lose faith in them, and it's very dangerous, if you allow the populace to lose faith on our judicial sector. Judiciary is supposed to be the last hope of the common man. That is where you go to for a redress in case of any grievance. If people are allowed to begin to take laws into their hands, and begin to pursue their grievances in a lawless manner, in a manner that is not structured. It will be a society where the strongest person will always want to have his way, and that is very dangerous. But judiciary has always been the bastion of justice, where you come in, it's a fountain of justice, where that lady that is very blind, that doesn't look at a pocket, doesn't look at your sex, doesn't look at where you come from, and then
your religion,
your religion, and administer justice. Whether you're a big man or a small man, he doesn't care. He's blind. That woman is blind to anyone. But not blind to justice. He's only blind to, all those other factors I've mentioned. So he was beginning to see that, look, people are no longer trusting judiciary. And then what are the reasons? These are the kind of reasons you keep on hearing: the issue of ex parte orders, issue of abuse of judicial process, issue of doing things in a brazen manner without recourse to justice. And so over the time, the NJC, which is the arm or the body that is in charge of employment and disciplining judges and, making sure that they're disciplined, has been also criticized that they give a slap on the wrist, for offenders. Why are they not harsh? Why are they not cleaning the system? Why are they not punishing those who offend the law? Why are they not? Why are they allowing those who give ex parte orders? Some of them very contradictory. Some of them engage in what we call forum shopping. They go, if a matter that the court has no jurisdiction, they can travel from here to Katsina or Kaduna or Zamfara to go and obtain judgment, especially political cases. So he was beginning to look as if the society, Nigeria is losing its head, in terms of decency and rule of law. So it has come at the right where the NJC is now putting its feet down and said, no, in case you offend, in case you do this, in case you do not follow the code of conduct of judges, then these are the consequences and all that. So they have started with these 3 judges. The one you talk about, the judge not hearing parties, of course, they must have examined, if somebody writes a petition, I think the procedure is that when you write, you must do it under affidavit, under oath. What you think is a complaint. Then you submit it to them, and then you don't make public whatever you are writing. Then they will now ask the judge to respond to those allegations. Very key. They give you that fair hearing. Then after your response, they will now, see whether it is something that they can dismiss at that level or invite all the parties, for a hearing.
Okay.
As a judge, you come with your lawyer. The complainant also will come with his lawyer and all that. Then it's after hearing all parties, and being satisfied that there is an infraction, they will now mete out punishment, which is actually what has happened in this case. So I'm sure they must have looked at the circumstances. The judge who delivered ruling or who went ahead, to take a decision or over a matter of, without hearing the parties. They must have looked at it and said, look, is this covered by the rules? Your rules, because that is what they call procedural rules. Substantive rule is different from procedural rules. The procedural rules are the rules that guide judges and lawyers in the proceedings. Now, if there is a provision in the proceeding that allows, that, fine, no problem. The world is now becoming very technology-driven. You can even, have a hearing now, with virtual hearing, where parties can be in London, another one in Nigeria, and hearings can be, you don't need to be there physical.
True.
But if there is no provision in the rules allowing that, it may be a problem if you now go ahead to engage in virtual, this without a substantive law, without a procedural rule allowing it, or even other provisions of this law allowing it. So I don't know what must have led to the NJC saying, look, you didn't get it right, you must have done this, and this is what the consequence is, and that's why they have gone ahead to actually suspend for 1 year without salary.
Okay, so you touched on the next question I was about to ask you, which is the fact that many, including Ufuoma Egbamuno talking to you, believe that what the NJC has done is a slap on the wrist. Now, I'll tell you why, and I'll give you a good example. sometime in the 90s, I'm trying to remember his name now, who ended up becoming Chief Justice of the Federation. I'm talking about Aloysius Katsina Alu. Sometime in the 90s, when we had the Advisory Judicial Committee, he had an issue where he was suspended, and that committee, which is now, of course, the National Judicial Council, said he should not be elevated for a certain number of years. Fast forward 10 years after, Katsina Alu became a justice of the Supreme Court and ended up becoming the highest judge of the land, Chief Justice of the Federation, sometime in 2009, I think, between the Yaradua and Jonathan administration. Now, this is someone who in the early 90s, the NJC, as he was called then, said this man is not fit to get promoted for a certain number of years. Is there a possibility that we could have a repeat where the likes of Justice Inyang Eko serve their 5-year ban from elevation, and then 5 years after becomes chief judge in the Court of Appeal, becomes president of the Court of Appeal, or will even become Chief Justice of the Federation? Does it in my opinion, it really doesn't present the judiciary in great light. I don't know what you think.
Ufuoma, that's a brilliant question, and you have done your research very well on Katsina Alu. I don't want to. There's something I would have loved to say, but I'm on air concerning his reign as a CJN. Now, if you met out a punishment, the punishment is specific, that you are not supposed to receive a salary for 1 year, right?
Yes.
And then you are also not to be promoted for a specific number of years. That is the punishment. That is the punishment.
Yeah.
It's not dismissal. So if you serve that 1 year without salary and then you are not to be promoted, for 5 years, it then means within that time of 5 years, there is no promotion for you. But if after 5 years, you are still in the system, you still have number of years to stay as a judge, and then you now probably get elevated to Court of Appeal and possibly end up at the Supreme Court and equally become the CJN, you have not offended any law. Unless you are saying, because of that punishment, you should not in any way be allowed to be promoted anymore. Because the punishment is that for 5 years, you are not supposed to be promoted.
Some have suggested, why not ban these people outrightly? Why not take them out of the system?
But they were not banned. That's the point. Now, if you have banned them, it's a different ballgame entirely. But when you have not banned them and say, look, you are not going to be promoted for this specific number of years. So the punishment, it will be a double jeopardy if after 5 years, now you're not so okay, because you have been punished for, and you are not supposed to be promoted after, for 5 years, then you are not going to be promoted again. That will be different from what you are pronounced as punishment. I hope I'm making my point clear. So what I'm saying, it's a different ballgame. You ban them as, you are not going to be promoted at all. You are not, you retire at wherever you are, and all that. It's a different ballgame. But you said that for 5 years, you shouldn't be promoted. Then if after 5 years, now he's now entitled, based upon what you have made as a pronouncement, to be promoted. And if he has more years, he stays at Court of Appeal and then to Supreme Court. I don't see any law being breached. I don't see any punishment, being, nothing has happened that has actually offended the law. The only thing is that people may be suggesting, why don't you ask them not to be promoted or ban them? It's a different ballgame entirely. But now they have not offended any law and all that in doing that. So, but what I'm saying is, there are considerations that the NJC takes into account before they make a pronouncement. We are still Nigerians, and we are still we have culture, we have other things and all that. There may be people, that may say, look, this man, his family, and, other considerations. I'm not saying that. I'm talking to you.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
I'm talking to you as a sister. Anything can happen in Niger Ifo tomorrow. And one of the workers is about, because he has committed this heinous crime, the best thing is let's dismiss. A call come from a very highly placed individual to the MD of Niger Info. Asoga, please. Yes, I agree that the man has offended. Dismissal is the right thing and all that. Please, Can you give him an opportunity? All those sentiment, African sentiment, don't forget your brother, and then before you know, instead of outright dismissal, say, okay, you are suspended, or you should stay out for 2 or 3 years, and then can resume. Other considerations coming. So whenever that pronouncement is made, it is made because there are other considerations. We are not Igbo, we are Africans, right? So I don't know whether I'm speaking the language, because
I totally get what you are saying.
That may have occurred, where these things happen, a lot of calls, a lot of pressure. I don't envy public officers, so it's not easy. Not easy at times,
So what do you think? What do you think is the best way now, to go about these issues going forward?
Yeah. The point is that the signal is being sent now that look, it's not going to be business as usual. I like a situation where people sit up. Anything you are doing, you sit up. Why Nigeria is actually not making much progress in terms of development and in every sphere of our life is that leadership, they are not intentional at all. There is nothing that is being put into consideration in whatever we do. There's no, everyone does whatever he feels like doing. No. Let's begin to set standard. Let's begin to set records. Let's begin to say this is the way it's supposed to be done. And whoever violates that, this is a punishment. So if these are properly defined, we may begin to rise up again as a nation and know that we'll, begin to inch towards resembling other nations, advanced nations, because for now, it's total confusion. There is no sphere of our life you can say, oh, we have gotten it right, no sector. So, but standard has to be set. And I feel that one of the best ways is this particular thing that NJC has done. Look, judges, you must sit up. There are some judges that they sit sometime by 12 o'clock, some sit by 1. Some have this habit of, keeping lawyers waiting for too long. And then there's no even an apology. There is not even an excuse why they have kept you, waiting. You wake up so early in the morning, especially in Lagos, if you are practicing in Lagos. You live in very far places, and you need to get to court by 9. You must leave your house either by 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. Now, you're not being told that the court is not going to sit. It's only when you get to the court and you are being told after you must have probably wasted 2 or 3 hours and that the judge is not sitting. I mean, it's not fair. I'm also not saying that there are some lawyers also who are making things difficult in the judicial sector. They come to court unprepared or they write a letter for an adjournment. The cases are supposed to end within possible time, they'll make it, they linger, and because they don't have any case. Those who want to defend have no defense, or those who came to court did not come to court in order to seek for justice, but just to waste the time of the court. I have an appeal where somebody appealed over 4 or 5 years ago. As I speak to you, this person has not filed any brief, and he's a senior counsel, senior lawyer. We see him on television. 6 years, or he has not filed and he will just hang the appeal, knowing fully well that the Court of Appeal, there are so many cases that have not been here previously, 2012 and all that. Before you get, he has not filed any brief up to now, has not served any brief. He just hang the case there. And so my take is that we have issues, with our judicial sector, and it's not only the judges, the lawyers themselves, the non-judicial staff, the clerical staff and all that, they all contribute. You get judgment, you apply for CTC of the judgment, they give you price, what you have to pay in order for you to get the CTC. You file a case, before your case is assigned, you have to pay. You don't file a case and go and sleep and before you know it and they give you a date. Unlike industrial court. I don't know whether they are still continuing with the practice because, industrial court used to be one of the best courts. You file a case, before you know it, they have already, served without you going there. And they have already put the proof of service in the court file, and they tell you that the matter is coming up. Within 2 or 3 weeks, you are good to go with your matter. And if care is not taken within 2 months, the matter is decided in the industrial court, but they are not the same anymore. So I'm saying it's leadership. The moment we have the kind of leadership we require in every of our sector, judiciary, MBA, all of them, you see that Nigeria will be one of the best, country that, we'll be very proud of. It's leadership. We don't have good leaders that are very intentional, and that's why we are where we are.
Dr. Bani, I will not let you go before asking you quickly what your thoughts are about the issues involving the MBA and the River State government under the sole administrator. 300 million return or no return. quickly in 30 seconds.
You must have read my decision. What I said is that, look, there is nothing wrong. There's no law that says NBA cannot take any fund from any source, from government or from individuals, because you need that partnership to succeed. But there must be accountability. You must account. You must be very transparent. You don't collect money and you hide it and all that. You must show the people the money you collect and what you are using it for. It should not be for individual pocket. It is meant to advance the cause of the MBA. But again, we have to be careful. If taking money will make us to lose our independence, then we must now begin to look inwards for generation of revenue in order to run an effective MBA without looking towards the government that may compromise our independence. It's very key. That is my take. So there was nothing wrong. The MBA did not commit any error. Any law, no law was broken. There is no this except on the issue of people are saying morality. I say morality. Well, what is immoral? Even in advanced societies, government sponsor some of these lofty projects, for professional bodies and all that. If it is to advance the professional body and not for individual pocket, and then there's accountability, I don't see anything wrong. But then, if you don't want it, let us now enact a law in our, MBA Act, our MBA law, our Constitution. Never you accept any government patronage. If it is there, it becomes illegal for any MBA president to take anything from the government.
All right, I almost called you seasoned journalist. A senior advocate of Nigeria and, of course, a seasoned legal practitioner, former vice president of the NBA, Dr. Monday Ubani, has been with us on the newsroom. Thank you very much for joining us on the show.
Yeah, Ufuoma, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. It's a long time. But you guys are doing well.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Bless you.
All right, Lagos. That was, of course, Dr. Monday Ubani, and we've been speaking about some of the issues as it concerns suspension of some judges and the fact that we need to be able to clean out our judicial system. Quickly, that's my cue to move on to the second segment of the show today, which of course is brought to you courtesy of the Lagos State Government. We call it the Lagos Newsroom. Now, what happens when a bustling megacity meets cutting-edge technology? In Lagos, the answer is a bold vision turned into reality. From traffic gridlocks to governance, Nigeria's commercial nerve center is rewriting the rules, one digital innovation at a time. In recent days, the Lagos State Government has held its annual ministerial briefing, during which various ministries and agencies provided updates on their achievements in the last 1 year under the administration of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu. Today, we take a look at the Ministry of Innovation, Science and Technology, where the state government has taken a bold step towards becoming a fully digitalized smart city, excuse me, with the launch of a 24/7 digital traffic enforcement center. Well, this is a major leap in public safety, urban mobility and digital governance. For the commissioner of the ministry, talking about the innovation, science, technology, and his name Olatubosun Alake, he described the system as a 3-phase rollout of intelligent video surveillance strategically positioned across the city to enhance traffic management and safeguard residents. According to him, the system will operate hand in hand with the Metro Fiber project, which aims to deliver 6,000 kilometers of optic fiber infrastructure, which will boost connectivity, digital access, and economic growth.
Smart City project. I'm pleased to inform that in conjunction with the Ministry of Transportation, we've been able to initiate 4 major areas for intelligent transport systems. So when you look at places like Alapere, when you look at Allen Avenue, there is now information technology enforcement of traffic rules in those areas, right? This is under the Smart City project that we've been doing for quite some time. And those areas now have IT assisting traffic enforcement officers to make sure that traffic management is streamlined in those areas. And I'm sure the Ministry of Transportation has also reported some of the gains in that area. We provided the technology, the automatic number plate recognition cameras, the intelligent video surveillance cameras. These are major projects under our smart city project that have now come online and are now managing traffic and administering traffic enforcement in those areas. This project continues with the Ministry of Transportation. 4 major areas, let me report to you, have this technology online. When you look at Mobolaji Bank and Tony Way, has the automatic number plate recognition cameras. When you look at Alakere as well, has the speed cameras, has e-police cameras as well, so that traffic proprietary in those areas are improving. And so that's the Safe City project under the Smart City project, and this project continues to spread to more areas so that traffic enforcement becomes objective and less of a subjective matter. Now, when we come to Lagos State governments, we are implementing what we call the Enterprise Architecture Project. What does this mean? It means that we are beginning to digitize a number of our activities in Lagos State. When you look at workflow from when we administer certain activities in the state, from when we carry files, from areas where we want to perform certain tasks in the state. I will report to you that about 14 agencies have digital front-facing platforms that are engaging with citizens today, and we are increasing that number. We also have a number of activities that are performed digitally. You will well know that Lagos State implements the Oracle ERP system. The Oracle ERP system is a digital platform that enables a number of our ministries to perform their tasks. When you look at digital budgeting, when you look at finance and treasury management, these are digital tools that we use to administer our activities. Now we are spreading those digital tools across many ministries where a number of digital activities will be digitized. And that is what we call our Enterprise Architecture Project. We are driving a one data policy in the state where data speaks one language. And so different ministries will be connected together so that digital activities can flow from one place to the other.
Lagos, that was the Commissioner for Innovation, Science and Technology, Olatubola. Our City government called major sacks in last year, and now 109 certified data protection officers across 8 MDAs, reinforcing the state's top-ranking compliance record.
Is what we are also calling e-governance. It is high time that we are able to serve the citizens digitally. And e-governance refers to having digital services to the citizens, and we are doing that in tandem with our enterprise architecture. The e-governance platform is where Lagosians can go digitally to our platforms and request for service, request for information, and engage with the state so that they don't have to always engage with people, and so that efficiency is also increased. And one of the examples that we have of that is the Lagos State Digital Service Platform, which we launched in December of 2024. Now, if you look at that platform, it has aggregated all of Lagos State services on one platform. So you're not going to different places. Whatever you need from Lagos, you can have access to it. And so if citizens, for instance, go to lagosstates.gov.ng, you will see an array of services, of digital services across advertisement, agriculture, across education, across physical planning, across archiving. All of these digital services are arranged on one platform. So you are not running helter-skelter to get your services delivered. No, you are getting it from one platform. This is part of the digital consolidation and the digital footprint that we are laying down in Lagos State so that there is effective service delivery to the citizens. And I encourage everybody to go on that platform and give us feedback for also how we can improve it. That is just phase one of our e-governance project. Phase two would also begin to implement things such as artificial intelligence chatbots to be able to help those that perhaps might not be able to navigate to get faster service delivery. And so e-governance is alive and well in Lagos State. Now, going forward, I have mentioned about artificial intelligence bots helping to deliver services. This is just a small part of what we hope will be a major artificial intelligence project for the state. And so what are we doing in terms of artificial intelligence? Number one is that we will release the first set of artificial intelligence guidelines for the state. What does the artificial intelligence guidelines mean? It means it's a self-assessing guardrail for all those developing artificial intelligence in Lagos.
That was, of course, the Commissioner for Innovation, Science and Technology right here in Lagos State, Olatubosun Alake, giving his thoughts there about digital innovation in Lagos over the past 1 year. I'm sure Emmanuel Onwoka would absolutely love all of these conversations for his digital live show on Saturday. I've given him content. He will not pay me now. Anyway, kudos to my producer on the show today, Precious Nenna Okon, who did an amazing job with this production. Over the week, I'm not calling your name, Emmanuel Onwoka. You came late to the show. Over the weekend, of course, Nigerian journalists joined the rest of the world to celebrate World Press Day. Barring anything happening between now and the end of the week, we will have that conversation about what we journalists are facing on the newsroom next week. My name is Ufuoma Egbamuno. On behalf of my producers, have yourselves a wonderful evening.
More news and information coming up. We'll be back in a moment. 99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.